can always start.
We're good.
Oh, we're good? I'll go ahead and introduce, who you got like all the books.
Well, not all of them. There's
Well.
many more.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This mic is a little high. Gabi is a lot taller than me, so I need to stand on my tippy toes. So my name is Gina. I am the founder and chair of the Alaska Entheogenic Awareness Council. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based here in Anchorage. And our goal is to educate the public about the therapeutic value of entheogenic plant medicines. Entheogens are naturally occurring psychoactive plants and fungi. And tonight we have a talk, a wonderful talk that will be orchestrated by Gabi Bird. The title of the talk is Fungal Wisdom, Humanity's Ancient Relationship with Mushrooms. Gabi is the founder of Chai Medicinals. She has over 25 years of experience working with sacramental ceremonies across the United States and abroad. And her work involves creating safe spaces for transformation and growth. So if you could, please give a hand to Gabi and looking forward to the talk.
I wouldn't say my first experience at 15 with sacred mushrooms was ceremonial. However, that would put me 25 years back. My name is Gabi. The P stands for priestess. I run Chai Medicinals up in Palmer. Maybe some of you have been there, some of you have. It's an urban mushroom apothecary, and we help people just get to know themselves and heal themselves naturally. I also, with my husband, run the Universal Ministry of Transcendence, which is a 508c1a. It's a nature-based church. It's non-dogmatic, non-denominational. And we help people reconnect with themselves through reconnecting with nature. Mushrooms, among other sacred plants and fungi, are our sacrament. So, I'm here today to present about the history of humankind with the sacred mushroom. This is Chai Medicinals. It's the scarab logo, as you can see, and I kind of changed it a little bit to have a mushroom in the middle. So the scarab is a big part of Egyptian history and mythology and life. The scarab beetle holds the sun, which is essentially like everything, eternal life. So anyway, the scarab, it was a huge part of Egyptian culture, and actually they have found mycelium of psilocybe, sacred blue mushrooms, psilocybin-containing mushrooms, in the dung balls of the scarab beetle in Egypt. Side note. So, side note. Oh, that's the, no. Yeah, what's next one? There we go. Okay, there's the ministry. So we have amanita, we have the sacred blue mushroom, we have tobacco flowers, the sun and the moon. We have the sacred blue mushroom here, Psilocybe cubensis. It's a Pinus varietal, if any of you have heard or utilized that. Amanita muscaria, growing in the boreal birch forest here in Alaska. That's my husband Dennis harvesting chaga in the winter. So one thing about the writings and teachings on the sacred mushroom as far as the history, its history with humankind, and I'm talking about both the amanita and the psilocybe containing the sacred blue and the sacred red, is that a lot of the writings in sacred texts are parables. So it doesn't directly say, like pretty much all the teachings in the sacred texts cross-culturally, it doesn't directly say what it's trying to say. Like they speak in metaphors, they speak in ways that we have to think about it, and it's only for people who want to learn the message and to interpret those things. So although there's a lot of symbolism, if you look a little bit deeper, you'll find that a lot of what they're saying does pertain back to mushrooms. I mean, mushrooms are the original sacrament. It's the old mushrooms in general. It's the oldest kingdom on planet Earth, And spores can withstand super high temperatures and super low temperatures. So my husband thinks, and many people think, that the spores of the mushroom came through like the cosmos and landed here, and that's what gave rise to dirt. And then of course once there was dirt, then other things could grow, like plants, and then once there were plants, and it goes on like that. The more mushrooms I take, the more time becomes an illusion to me. So it's not really that linear, you know. And of course also consuming sacred mushrooms makes me and many other people that I observe much more comfortable with paradox. So something to keep in mind. A lot of times we look, especially in this day and age, we have so many resources like the internet, and you know, it's great, books, ChatGPT, all these things, but a lot of times, like the ancient wisdom, the answers are inside of us. And the way to learn about a mushroom is by bioassaying. That means by consuming it. That's like a biology term for taking it yourself. So there's a lot of things that can't be explained and they aren't directly communicated, but mushrooms seem to be at the basis of basically all the world religions. And I say that with confidence, and you don't have to believe everything I say. It's all up for grabs. Take what you want, leave the rest. But there is cross-culturally, universally, there are accounts of consuming mana. There are hieroglyphs and paintings and all these different pictographic religious texts where mushrooms are involved, or something that is considered a symbol for a mushroom is involved. They talk about mana. They talk about like cosmic drinks. They talk about different animals that are associated, especially with like soma and mana in the Indian religions. The Rig Veda talks a lot about bulls with the soma. So there's a lot. It is such a deep, I love mushrooms because it is such a deep rabbit hole. Like you will never get bored. If you want to go down these rabbit holes, I don't think I'm the best person to regurgitate the historical information, but I'm doing my best tonight because it melts together so much, and it's super, super interesting. So whatever like side of it you want to look at, whether you want to look at the history of the biology, the history of the religious aspects, the history of, we could start now and go backwards. We could talk about the revival of mushrooms right now and the call for mushrooms to come into the picture due to the mental health crisis in this country. So there's a lot of different like approaches and ways to go about researching, and I will give you some information tonight. I am this presentation is mostly about the history of religion with mushrooms because we have the ministry and it's something I'm very interested in and passionate about. So these are Celtic knot drawings. This is the PowerPoint is a little discombobulated, but I made a PowerPoint, yay. Okay, so Celtic knots, I just want to say, in my high dose journey and journeying with Amanita, and by the way, nothing I do is something you should do. I'm not saying go do this is just what I have done in my experiences. So one thing that I've tapped into with Amanita is my, I guess, Scottish ancestry, English ancestry, Northern European. And when I was under the influence of the mushrooms one night, I completely could understand why they were making these designs, because I felt that this was like, these are kind of like time portals. It's like time, how it's interwoven, like dimensions are interwoven, and that became very clear to me both with microdosing and macrodosing Amanita. Because, and if you do research, if you look into like some of the people that are putting out information now, they talk a lot about the transcendence of time and going through portals with Amanita. So it's really hard to like articulate. It's more something that if you're interested, you can have that experience. Amanita is not scheduled, it's federally legal. It's mycorrhizal, so it grows in the birch forest here, a lot of times under the spruce trees. But Amanita is associated with many different forests. It's actually not very particular, like about where it grows, but it isn't cultivated in a lab because it's mycorrhizal. So it needs to live like with the roots of the tree, with the other plants, the decomposing matter. You could cultivate Amanita by like inoculating a zone where it's already growing, but like trying to grow it in a lab on like cocoa coir or something, it just wouldn't work because it's mycorrhizal. Amanita has been amazingly healing, and most of our ancestors in the northern hemispheres have a deep history with utilizing Amanita as a panacea medicine. So we can switch. So here's some slides. This is from the Canterbury Psalter. These are like very occult, early Christian documents that are very difficult to get to. It's on the, actually, I just noticed the Canterbury Psalter, you can see he's got a mushroom there. It looks like, almost like a blend between Amanita and psilocybin, but it's red, so we'll go with Amanita. You can go to the next one. So look, it's got the same, these are two distinct books, both with the Canterbury Psalter, Jesus with the mushrooms. And it's hard to find these documents, even the copies of them in England. This book, Psychedelic Gospels, was like about a story of a couple that went to find them and to learn, and so this is kind of a story. Mushrooms and Mankind, I just ordered more of these books because I always sell out at the store. This book will absolutely free your mind. It's amazing, but he talks about a lot of different, just like the freedom of thought. And that's really what the First Amendment of our Constitution is all about. Freedom of thought, freedom of belief, freedom to believe what you believe, and that's what they came here to escape religious persecution. Not that they did everything right and proper, they didn't, but you know, that's a very like fundamental part of what started, you know, the government here, and it's something that if we don't use it, we will lose it. So I root into the First Amendment with my work. So here's more of the Canterbury Psalter. This is like the story of, what's it called, Genesis, and it involves mushrooms. And in the Psychedelic Gospel, you can learn more about how, what it says there, that they were healing like leprosy with mushrooms and all these different things. So the ancient mushroom religions, like long before Christianity, long before like the cults kind of dispersed, it all really started in Africa, and they were consuming the Stropharia genus of psilocybin mushrooms. And so right now, Terence McKenna was kind of like the person that brought a lot of this to life. But if you start to really look now on YouTube, there's all these other people who are doing research, who have done research that it was so like occult and it was hard to find. But the internet is making it possible for us to explore other people's theories. You know, R. Gordon Wasson, there's just a lot of things that like, there's a lot of questions that were unanswered, even with Wasson's work, even with McKenna's work. So I invite you to look at people like Andriha, I think his book is on here, I can't pronounce his name, so let's go. Here's the, so one thing about the sacramental use of mushrooms is that, you know, they were utilizing cross-culturally, multi-religious, post-pagan religions, or let's say in the transition from pagan religions where the mushrooms were more out in the open to the post-pagan beginnings of organized religion, like the more like cultish religions. They would preserve like the mushrooms in honey. They would make these preservations, and it's noted in McKenna's work that people believe that they kind of went, honey turns into mead, like the way they were preparing it. So they were starting to go down this road where the sacrament was more about the mushrooms to becoming more about the alcohol, and that's like a huge shift. Mushrooms compared to alcohol, one like is enlightening and one like closes things down. And then from alcohol, transitioning to like completely non-psychoactive sacraments like Eucharist and like one little sip of wine. So you can see the transition from like truly ecstatic states to something that is like a symbol of such things. And because like some of the people that were higher up in like the Catholic Church and the early Christian religions were still consuming mushrooms, and I'm talking like this is law, you don't have to think like that. This is just my interpretation. I'm trying to get a point across in an hour. So here's a pine cone. The Amanita grows under the pine cone. This is in the Vatican. The peacocks, super spiritual, what's it called, symbolism there. The red robes of the Catholic priests, many depictions of Jesus with a ring around his head. Some people say that's like the spore print of the Amanita. So we can keep going. So I started with Christianity, and I feel like this is kind of what I do. Sometimes I go backwards, but we'll get all the way to the Egyptians. This is a great book, Fly Agaric, Kevin Feeney. So this is a pretty recently written book, and it's got a lot of information about like the science around like the chemistry of Amanita, as well as like a lot on Nordic cultures use of and shamanic uses of Amanita muscaria. So let me say something here now. One thing that I've listened to recently online, Johan and forget the other lady's name. It's amazing. I can't remember the detail right now, but I'll tell you the message. When you take Amanita, it's called the adult, they were calling it the adult mushroom because it helps us step into our essence. It helps us to come away from our personality that's contrived through like trauma and through conditioning and come back to our natural essence. And one of the ways that it does that is GABAergic. So it works on the GABA system in the lower brain, the reptile brain. So the depictions of Adam stepping on, under the tree of life, stepping on the serpent, the reptile, and holding the apple. That's the, people say that is like the apple represents the Amanita. The tree of life is the Amanita grows under the tree, and the serpent is the reptile brain. So this is one like theory. This is one like parable that you can dissect if you wish. I thought it was pretty interesting because I do find that people who are, some people love the Amanita, some people don't like it when they take it. A lot of times it will show us where we don't have good boundaries, and that can be jarring if we've been coasting down neural pathways that lead us into habits that have been harming us. But if we're open to the wisdom and healing of something like Amanita, it's amazing what it can do to enlighten us to our true essence. In Siberia, so Amanita only really grows in the northern hemisphere. It does grow in the southern hemisphere now because some lovely people, whatever you want to think about this, brought it down there. So it's in South America and it is in Australia, I think New Zealand also, but it's not native to those places. So whether you think it's great that it's there now or not is up to you. It's there, but it's not a native species there. But in the northern hemisphere, the shamans, there's so many tribes in Siberia that have been utilizing this mushroom forever, and they still do to this day. One quote that I thought was interesting from, I'm trying to remember what book that came from, was, was that women taking it to work, taking the mushroom to work could produce like much more than they could without the mushroom, and some of the tasks that they have to do to survive in that like very harsh climate, like living in indigenous ways, it's very taxing on the body, it's mundane and boring work, and it makes work a little more interesting. So think of it like almost like we use ADHD medications now, but it's way more healing, and it actually heals the brain rather than harms us. So it's absolutely incredibly healing in micro and macro dose. If you do decide to take a macro dose, I don't recommend doing that right off the bat. I recommend building a relationship with the mushroom, all mushrooms, building a relationship with them because they are powerful teachers and they can really whoop you if you don't have, your ducks in order. Sacred mushroom rituals is actually about Teonanacatl, the flesh of the gods. That's the philosophy containing mushrooms in Mexico. Tom Lane is a friend of mine. He's a very eclectic guy. Some people don't like him. I like him. He's non-dualist for sure. He's got just as much dark as light, but his book is really cool. He has taken psilocybin with Maria Sabina. That's where he met his wife. He lives in Florida. He's a really cool guy. He's online. He's on Facebook if you want to look him up. Sacred Mushroom Rituals. I think he was going overboard on the crazy town, and so he kind of quieted down his posts. But it seems like he's coming back to life again now. But he's really passionate about psilocybin-containing mushrooms. If you talk about Amanita to him, he's like, get away from me. But he's taught me a lot about like the Utatono Codex, actually, which is going to come up here soon. If we can go to the next one now. Thank you. Oh, there's Santa with the mushroom. Yeah, I'm sure that was made by AI or something. But how many people have heard the Santa reindeer Amanita story? Oh, we have some that haven't. Okay, so solstice, winter solstice, bringing light in the darkest of times. The Amanita grew under the fir trees, the spruce trees, the, what are they called? Not deciduous, the conifers. And they are the presents under the tree, and so we've dried them and we save them for, and this is cross-cultural, like Siberian indigenous to Norway, Finland, Russia, like all up there in the northern hemisphere. Santa and his flying reindeer, well, a lot of times the shamans and the indigenous cultures will consume the reindeer, love to eat it. So the reindeer will eat the mushroom and then they will urinate into the snow, and then the shamans will eat the urine because the reindeer is processing the toxins of the amanita, and the urine is like a concentrate of the indoles that make you fly, like flying reindeer. So if you like that, this book actually has a good synopsis of that story. This is just a little book. I'll have these in like a couple weeks. The publisher is a very small publisher down in, and this guy's not alive anymore, but down in San Diego. But I just absolutely love this book. But yeah, the Santa story with Amanita is rich, and I encourage you, if you're interested, to check it out. So next one. This is, gosh, I wish I could remember the names of the indigenous in Siberia, but she's a Siberian shaman. As you can see, the red and white. So this is like red and white, like the Amanita. This picture is from the museum here in Anchorage. That is a mask that's at the museum, and it's stained with berries. And I loved it because, and I think it's actually like it's not like an old, they have that whole exhibition of like the really old stuff, the old native art and like clothing and stuff. I think this was like a modern mask made by a modern artist, but it looks like the Amanita. So I thought that was pretty cool, and scrolling through my many photos, I decided to add that. This is Amanita pantherina. It is a brown capped mushroom. Now, if you are not 120%, I usually say 110, I'm going to say 120 when we're looking at Amanita species. If you don't know what you're doing harvesting mushrooms, do not eat mushrooms out of the forest. You can literally kill yourself doing that. Amanita family has like some of the most deadly mushrooms, and they taste really good when you eat them, and then you die like 8 hours later, a horrible, painful death. So if you don't know what you're doing, just leave it to the people that do know how to harvest or learn. Like there's lots of mushroom groups here, there's lots of resources. You can always like come up to Chai Medicinals or like get onto Facebook, different groups. But don't just go out there willy-nilly. And you'd be like, oh yeah, no, they're red with white dots. Well, I've had people literally bring me poisonous Amanita mushrooms and ask me if that was Amanita muscaria. So don't assume anything when it comes to mushroom foraging. Pantherina is a mushroom in the also in the Amanita genus that is 10 to 40 times as strong as Amanita muscaria. A lot of times when you hear of like a very bad trip, people don't usually high dose this mushroom. There are old shamans and there are bold shamans, but there aren't a lot of old bold shamans. So be very careful. We do make a product with it for microdosing, and it's incredible for astral projection and but I don't recommend it to beginners. So it's wonderful. Mushrooms and Mankind. Oh, this is the book I was talking about, Entheogenic. He is a very brilliant guy. Not sure if he's alive anymore. I actually don't have that book. I just learned about that book in my studies for this talk. So check that out if you want to go deep. He is like a very smart, oh man, brainy guy. Very cool. Try it. James Arthur. He's more about freedom of thought. So he's my man. Here I have the Egyptian depiction of, well, it's the lion god. I forget his name right now. Someone here knows it. Sekis. Anyway, he's giving the Ankh symbol, which I'm wearing. My husband carved this Ankh symbol for me. The Ankh is like what they say. It means eternal life, and essentially when you take psilocybin, because there probably wasn't. The Egyptians may have had access to Amanita, but it would have been from someone else bringing it to them, because Amanita doesn't grow there, unless I'm mistaken. Maybe I am, but it doesn't seem like it grows there. So when you see some of the other slides coming up, there are some mushrooms in their art that are their hieroglyphs and wall carvings that look like Amanita. So maybe they were taking it. Maybe someone brought it from India or from some other part of the world, or the northern places. Ankh, this symbol, is the symbol of everlasting life. And when you take mushrooms, a lot of times people use the psilocybin mushrooms to help cope if they're like dying with, from cancer or something, or they know they're gonna die. The mushrooms will help them accept death, because when we take the psilocybin, we start to lift the veil on this dimension, and we start to understand that we're eternal beings. So in this depiction, he's giving him the Ankh symbol, and so it could have been interchangeable for a symbol of the psilocybe-containing mushrooms, which absolutely would grow in the Nile region. So here, it might be cut off, but there's mushrooms like up there too. So here's Ankh. And then that looks like a mushroom stem. That looks like a mushroom stem. This cut off the top, but there's mushrooms up there on his head. And look, she has a serpent on her head. So, rife with possibilities of, creating your own meaning. This is the scarab once again with the almighty sun. In the later Egyptian religions, they started to really transfer from like humanized deities to like this like more ethereal version of like the sun god. But when the way that our logo is at Chai Medicinals, and the wing, when it's like up, also Isis, when she has her wings up, it actually looks like a spore print. And that would be like the spore. It looks like a spore. Oh, this is Hermeticism. So there, it all started in one thing, the cradle of humanity, right? And then we're starting to have all these cults, and the humans are going to all these different places, but they're still taking mushrooms, and they're still learning, and we're still doing it today. I mean, it never stopped. It just kind of became very taboo, kind of in the Dark Ages, when the Christianity took a turn for the worst or best, depending how you look at it. But it became very, dark, and a lot of darkness, and no more telling people. Anyways, Hermeticism was derived, I guess you could say, from Egyptian religion. So in Cappadocia, Turkey, Elysian, Greek times, let's say Italy, all around the Mediterranean. Alexandria was a big hub, big cross-cultural hubs learning together. Very much based in thought. Psilocybin makes us think, the neural synapses increase, and it helps us to learn language faster. The mycelium networks, it increases learning capabilities. So they're probably taking mushroom soma of some kind, maybe probably amanita and psilocybin, as they were coming from all different parts of the East and Africa and to the Mediterranean to learn and develop. The transition of information from Egyptian times to the Greeks and the Turkish, and then later the Italians and stuff, but having the use of the mushroom become more and more concealed as time went on, and we moved into the Dark Ages. So that's just the sun, and so this is I believe Anatolian mushroom art. Let me keep going. I think Gina would know more about this than I do. The Elysian, I'm probably not even saying it right, but I know that you've studied that a lot more than me. So this is the Mesoamerican depiction of mushroom religion, little amulets. Some of them are very big, actually. And so the smaller ones were found with mortar and pestle also, using the mortar and pestle to grind the mushrooms, add it to the honey, mix it with other herbs. Even in Carlos Castaneda, he would, did anyone read Carlos Castaneda? Don Juan, it's an amazing book from the 70s about someone who went to train with a shaman, the Yaqui way of knowledge, in northern Mexico. And so they would smoke mushrooms, probably amanita. The amanita is found in the highlands of Mexico. However, most of the mushroom religion and usage is focused around psilocybe-containing mushrooms in that region. So they're growing in the forest, but people aren't, unless I'm sure some people are, but it's probably transitioned away from that more into the psilocybin containing mushrooms. But maybe if you commune with the mushroom, you'll get a download about what was going on actually. This is Xochipilli. He is now located in a museum in Mexico. It's one of the few things that the Spanish conquistadores did not destroy, but he represents an ecstatic state, like a shaman or someone that would take the mushrooms or the other entheogenic plants goes into. As you can see, he's in an ecstatic state, and he's covered in nicotiana flowers. He has mushroom depictions on him, spore prints. So yeah, he's still in the Museo Arqueológico, I think, in Mexico City. You could go see him. This is the Yucatenojo, probably saying, yeah, Yucatenojo Codex. And so I have this in my home. I also have it in China Medicinals. This is a pictograph depicting ancient Mixtec religion, and the person who actually recovered this and kept it alive. This is a really bad quality thing of it, but if you connect with Tom Lane, he'll send you. He sent me a scroll that he made with it, and it's a much clearer depiction. So one of the people from Spain that came and messed with these guys, or they're all messing with each other, but really bad. What the Spanish came and really destroyed that culture. So he brought this back to Spain, and that's how, because he wanted to show people about the mushroom religions that were happening in the Mixtec culture. And so basically down below, the guy goes to the shaman, and these little beads, they mean different things, the colors, but that little iguana-looking guy, Tom calls him an iguana. He looks like a little lion guy, I don't know. But so eventually, the shaman gives him the mushroom, and that little lion guy jumps on his back, and he's bee mushroom. Right here is he's bee mushroom. You can see the mushrooms here, and so he's communing with the mushroom. And now he's going up. He's going to the higher dimensions, and he's meeting with all right here. He's meeting with like dioses, like gods, lower level gods, to tell him things about himself, like we could call it archetypes, like parts of the self. And so then he falls into a rabbit hole, possibly at the peak of his mushroom journey. Right here, this is when things get hairy and he gets scared, but it's almost over. And as you can see, the reeds are untied here, and then here he meets with his true self. He becomes one, and the reeds are tied in understanding. So this is a religious document, and it's written. Pre-writing, so it's a pictograph. Okay, keep going. And there's a little bit better of a picture of it. So these are derrumbe mushrooms. These are very strong. They grow in Mexico. A lot of times if you do like a mushroom journey in the San Mateo mountains and the Oaxacan mountains, they'll give you derrumbes. And then this is psilocybe zapaticorum. This is the strongest psilocybin-containing mushroom that we know of so far. And it also grows in Mexico. People are cultivating it in labs here in the United States. I've not been able to find any of those genetics around, but someone is doing it. Alan Rockefeller is a great resource for learning more about these. So Teonanacatl, that means flesh of the gods, or flesh of God. That says hongo de Dios, that means mushroom of God. They also, in Mexican, pre-Columbian Mexican culture, they would, in Maria Sabina's like veladas, Maria Sabina gave mushrooms to people like the Rolling Stones, Ardwar Wasson, Bob Dylan, and it ultimately cost her a lot. The life of her son and much more. So her community did not appreciate her bringing outsiders in. However, it brought a huge renaissance to like the hippies, and so it made a lot more awareness of psilocybin-containing mushrooms back here in the United States. So good or bad, it happened. It was powerful, kind of like the internet and money. Okay, so this is psilocybe cubensis, grown in a lab. This is psilocybe azarensis, growing in the dunes on the Oregon coast up near Astoria. This is probably the second strongest mushroom after zapaticorum. They thought it was the strongest. It has high levels of baeocystine, which is very like visual, However, when you take, oh man, these mushrooms are incredible. You have to be really careful because they're really strong. And I have noticed that when people take these and they're still taking SSRIs, this isn't the best one to work with because it kind of gets lost. It's so mystical. So there's a lot of like tribes in the Portland area and the coastal areas of Oregon that have been consuming these mushrooms for millennia, but like most of these sacred teachings, a lot of it is like kept in the group and like it's actually been hidden. And because of the colonization of the Americas, a lot of times the indigenous people were taken away from their practices and disconnected. What the church did was disconnect them from the land, and that was the source of their healing and their wisdom. And so, because these mushrooms are very, very powerful, I don't doubt that they were used for millennia by those people. That's psilocybe azarescens also. They're quite small. That's Brooke. She works at Chai Medicinals. She dressed up like a mushroom for Halloween. This is a ceremonial setup that we did in Chickaloon for the sacred mushroom ceremony. That's my husband Dennis collecting turkey tail in the forest in the fall. And here's dried amanita. This is a piece of artwork from a local artist, Jamie Jenko. I don't know, you guys know Jamie? Yeah, she's incredible. She has some really large paintings and small. This is just a little one, so but she paints amanita a lot. There's really nice amanita that I harvested. And that's it for the presentation. I wanted to, what time is it now?
We have time.
It's 6:40? Okay, so if you guys have questions, I would be more than happy to answer them, but I also wanted to offer you a very short shamanic journey to commune with the mushroom without actually ingesting the mushroom. So if that's okay with Gina. And if we have time, we can do that. One more thing I want to tell you about amanita before I forget. Amanita has higher concentrations of vitamin D than almost any other mushroom. I don't know about chaga. I know the chaga has a lot. But if you suffer from seasonal depression, you might want to look at chaga and amanita. Okay, do you guys have questions? Any questions? You want to go to the tree of life? All right. All right. So everyone, take a couple breaths in and out. It's going to be a little ancestral journey with the mushroom. In and out a few times. Now I want you to imagine that you're walking through the forest of your ancestry. You try to tap into the forest, what it looks like. You're walking along. No shoes on. If you're wearing shoes, they're made out of natural bottoms, so you can connect with the earth. Observing your surroundings. Maybe you hear the call of birds. Maybe you hear the rustle of the wind blowing through the leaves. You come into a clearing. In the clearing, you see a giant tree. This is your tree of life. You approach the tree with respect and awe. It's glowing in every direction. It's big, it's strong. The wind is blowing through its leaves. And you take a seat under that tree. You find a comfortable spot and you have your back against the bark of the tree and you feel the scratch of the bark on your back. You hear the wind in its leaves and you feel the sway of the branches above. And you start to connect with the roots. You imagine the root systems below you. You can feel them. And so with that, you begin to root yourself down through the root chakra, from the heart, from the crown, all the way down through the roots. You go down, 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 and you intertwine with all the roots of the tree of life. You intermingle, and then you go down, all the way down to the core of the earth, and you anchor down there. You get deeply rooted. As you sit there, you close your eyes, you take in the smells of the forest and the sounds. And so you open your eyes and you look down on the ground and there's a glowing mushroom. And to your right, you see it. Imagine that mushroom. What does it look like? Is it amanita? Is it a psilocybin-containing mushroom? Is it blue? Is it red? Whatever mushroom it is, it's your mushroom. You're going to eat it. So you pick this mushroom, pick this glowing mana, this ancient being, and hold it out in front of you and look at it, observe it, feel the dirt fall off of the stake, look at the veil, if it has a veil, touch it tenderly, you can smell it, connect with it, take in with all your senses what this mushroom is like. And now, calling on your guides, your ancestors, your angels, whatever you have in the ether, protectors, we're going to go on a journey with this mushroom. Be brave. Now you're going to consume the mushroom, and with your guides, we're going to travel. We've arrived in the liminal space. And out of the dark, you see a little bit of light. And there's an ancestor coming towards you. It's your ancestor that has chosen to see you today, to meet with you as you're under the wise guidance of the mushroom that you've consumed. Observe your ancestor and honor your ancestor. Your ancestor has brought you a gift, and it's a piece of wisdom that you can carry with you back to the other dimension, back to the Assad. And so your ancestor opens up their hands and presents to you this gift. What is it? Look at the gift. Observe it. What is that piece of wisdom that your ancestor's giving you? Maybe it's I don't know what it is. What is it for you? It's unique and it's your gift. And say thank you to your ancestor. And your ancestor leaves you with the gift. And your ancestor fades back into the background. And your guides are here with you and everything's safe and it's okay. And we're going to make the journey back to the tree, back to the forest. So gather your guides, gather your gift, and let's go. We're back at the tree of life. We're back with the wind flowing through the leaves and the forest being all around. And we have our gift. And we dig a little hole where the mushroom once was. And we place our gift in the hole. Reunite it with the earth. And we cover it up. We cover it, pat it up. You get a little dirt in your nails, and that's okay. And you thank your guides, your ancestors, and of course, you thank the mushroom, the sacred mushroom. Amazing, wise teacher that it is, of ancient knowledge and life eternal. And then, when you're ready, you can stand up and you can start walking out of the forest. You can come back to the room, slowly open your eyes. Does anybody want to share something about what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah? Tell me.
Well, I mean, last night I had a dream about a tree and I lifted the root system up. There was something going on there. I've been doing the little drops and like recording dreams or whatever. But I got handed one of those, like, what's that wooden stick that you burn for clearing air?
Palo Santo?
Yeah, Palo Santo.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else want to share? In relationship, we experience trauma, and in relationship, we heal. So it's good to share, but it's not mandatory. But if you want to, now's your chance. Okay, thank you guys. Oh, yeah.
It took me a second. That was the gift you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think the gift was emptiness at first, and that was just like what came to me. And then we were walking back, and for me, emptiness represents expression, because as an artist, you have to like clear everything to then create. I mean, that's how I practice making art. So that, I feel like it's the gift. Emptiness. That was my gift.
Yeah, space.
Spaciousness.
Oh, yeah.
Just potential.
Yes. That's awesome. That's beautiful. Thank you, Alex. Does anyone else want to share? You can share. It's okay.
Do it.
Do it. Yes, please.
My mushroom is bright.
Okay, that's cool. Wow. Did it have a taste?
Tangy.
Tangy. Interesting. Do you think it was Amanita?
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Take it to analysis, get it analyzed.
Bioanalysis.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And I have cards here with the apothecary and the ministry, and I have a little notebook if you want to get on our email list. And if you have questions later that pop up, you're always welcome to reach out. So thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you for showing up and learning. I hope I did justice to this amazing trajectory that humans have had with the sacred mushrooms. There's so much more to tell, but I'll leave that up to you, which direction, which rabbit holes you want to dive into. So enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gabi. That was wonderful. So we are working on our schedule here for the winter, and we've run out of speakers here in Alaska, believe it or not. I don't know if you've been following us, but we've had quite a few wonderful speakers over the years. So if anyone here knows anyone who's interested in speaking, sharing wisdom, sharing knowledge, please reach out to us. I'd love to meet with you and we can sit down and chat about that. So thank you so much, Gabi. That was a wonderful talk. Yes, these plant medicines have been used for millennia around the world by different cultures and societies. And I just want to mention that they are federally illegal substances for the most part, except for Amanita. So we can't endorse them. However, if you do decide to get out there and experiment, please use them responsibly and with respect. And remember that around the world, they are considered sacraments and they are considered medicines. And that's really what they're here for. So thank you. And thank you, Writer's Block.
Yeah.
I always forget to thank you, but we appreciate you. And yes, wonderful service. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Yeah.
I saved your card. Wait. I met you at Salmon Fest 2023.
Oh, cool.
But I never.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
come to this area very often.
Oh,
because I live
nice.
in Bethel, so I never. But now that I know you're out on the home route.
What's your name?
Kayla.
Kayla, I'm Gabi. Nice to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah, we have an Amanita ceremony coming up at Open Space on the. Hi. That's so cool. Hey. Yeah, Amanita Blue Lotus ceremony at Open Space on the 14th, so on Tuesday. It's going to be really cool with Svea.
So it's a 3-hour-long ceremony. We're gonna drink the sacrament, and then we're gonna go sound into Yoga Nidra, which is like a yogic sleep, and then sound out. It's gonna be really cool. Yeah. Can you come? I think it's 7 to 10. I know it's hard to people that work. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Nice to see you. Hi, Dixie. Hey, I'm so glad you could make it. I'm so sorry if our hours have been screwy. It's so weird getting up for one more car, and then I realized that the hours were long. And so we always like call me or text me or double check. Oh, okay. Terrible. I know, but thank you for your patience. Are you on the email list? If you want to get on it, I think Dixie's already on it.
I know. Well, I don't believe
Good. You spread. You just you sporulate. Dixie, you should do one of these talks.
I don't know if I have this. I think that there's more like there's people that she has to